Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I thought I would do this video for you guys that are either sitting at home just interested, or if you're wondering if you're pregnant or your symptoms are pregnancy symptoms, or if you are hoping that you're pregnant, or for any other reason, or maybe you're in the same situation as me and didn't realize until really late on that you were actually pregnant and those symptoms that you're experiencing were pregnancy symptoms. So if you guys like, I'd love you to share with me why you're watching, and if it's because you are pregnant or you're wondering if you're pregnant, please comment below, let me know, and I'd love to hear from you. So I'll start with a bit of a backstory, and it kind of explains why I didn't realize that I was pregnant for so long, and maybe this is some of you guys as well. So basically my whole life I've had really irregular periods. So sometimes they would come every month, or sometimes they would come every 3 months. I really had no idea when they would come, which is always fun. So the doctors couldn't see any reason why this might be the case. There was no hormonal issues, no PCOS, not really anything particularly wrong with me. It's just that I happened to ovulate less frequently, and for that reason doctors suggested that it might be more difficult falling pregnant. And I really thought for a long time, I really did worry when I did choose to have a baby that I would really struggle to fall pregnant. And I know a lot of people that do, so I count myself very lucky. I don't know if it was coincidence or it otherwise would have been difficult. I really have no idea at all, but I just know that I was fairly lucky this time, which is great. So yeah, that was not on my radar, that it would be so easy for me to fall pregnant. So that, I guess, is the first reason why I didn't realize that I was pregnant. And obviously I had not been pregnant before, so I didn't know what pregnancy symptoms felt like. I didn't know how I was supposed to feel, and if I'm used to not getting my period, I didn't think anything of it. So to give you even more information, at the time I was really busy working like 16-hour days, hardly sleeping, hardly at home. I was eating really weirdly because I was out of routine, and I just put all of my symptoms that I did have down to that I was just stressed, and I was tired because I was not sleeping very much, all of those things. So also my mind was so preoccupied and not focused on how my body was feeling. I was really just trying to get through. So how I found out that I was pregnant was my friend actually told me that I was pregnant. So, which is really embarrassing that I didn't realize, but my friend did. But I started to kind of maybe wonder when I was about 9 weeks. Even Ben was starting to wonder. He's like, your boobs are huge. What is going on? They've been so big for so long. And he's like, just do a pregnancy test. Like, it's not gonna hurt. And so I did one, and it actually came back negative. And so we weren't pregnant for another week, and then I went out to dinner with a few friends that had babies before, so they knew what pregnancy symptoms were like. And I was sitting with them, and I was like, you know what, I've been feeling really funny lately. I've been like not wanting to eat certain foods, feeling like really sick all the time. Just, you know, I think it's just because I'm not handling the stress very well. I, you know, have, you know, just been feeling really off. And one of my friends said to me, she's like, your boobs, Rosie, are huge. Like, I went from a solid B cup to a massive C cup. But like big and covered in veins, and I just not really like paid attention. And she was like, Rosie, this is like obvious, this is your first thing, like how long have they been like this? And I was like, oh well, maybe like over a month. But I just kept thinking that, oh, I'm gonna get my period because my boobs are bigger, they're sensitive, And also I've had these like really, I don't know, just like interesting pains in my stomach and back, and it just feels like it's before my period. And she's like, no, Rosie, you're pregnant. And I was like, I'm not pregnant. Don't be ridiculous. I just took a pregnancy test. I'm not pregnant. It's not possible. She's like, no, Rosie, honestly, go get a pregnancy test. It was like 10 o'clock at night. She's like, go get a pregnancy test right now. Go home, do it. And so I did, and she was right. So my friend told me that I was pregnant, and I had all of these other symptoms that I hadn't really considered and didn't really think about until I was like, that makes so much sense. So I thought I would just tell you the symptoms that I had. Some of them I experienced before I realized that I was pregnant, and I just blew it off and thought there was something wrong with me. And some of them I really intensely felt after I found out I was pregnant. So I found out probably about 10 weeks. By the way, I'm about 31 weeks pregnant now. So that's about 7.5 months. I've got 2 months to go. So this was quite a while ago, but I do remember my symptoms fairly vividly. And I can definitely understand why other mums would identify that I was pregnant before I would, because it's the subtle things that you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. So the first thing was definitely, obviously, the lack of a period, but I thought that was normal. The second thing was obviously the boobs, and they were huge for so long. And I thought, like, because maybe I was getting my period soon. I had period soon for like 5 weeks. I thought I was getting my period soon. Like, so weird. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's just because like I've been eating funny and like I'm just putting on weight, and I'm putting on weight in my boobs. Maybe that's it. And I had these weird blue veins everywhere, and I was like, why are my boobs so veiny? And that was just before I realized I was pregnant that they became so veiny. So I'm sure that would have been a hint if I'd gone a couple of more weeks and they were like still intensely, like, I'm talking intense veins here. I did have nausea before I realized I was pregnant. But again, put that down to stress, put that down to a change in diet. Didn't think much of it. And it wasn't until about 10 weeks anyway that vomiting started. So I was actually really sick with morning sickness. Not everyone feels that way, but a lot of people do. But luckily for me, it was about 4 weeks of solid morning sickness. But when I'm talking morning sickness, a lot of people will also agree that it is not morning sickness. It is like all day sickness. It is like morning, noon, night, evening, middle of the night. Not fun at all. But I'm pretty lucky because it's only 4 weeks of my life that I suffered. And when you think about it, making a life that will hopefully make a lifetime. So 4 weeks is really not that much to sacrifice, but I really did struggle. I also, during that time of being sick, I couldn't eat anything remotely healthy. I just, for some reason, was like if you put salad in front of me, I would literally gag. Like it was the most unhealthy time of my life. And not to mention, all I could eat for 4 weeks during the most of my morning sickness was 2 things: scrambled eggs, weird, and jats. For you guys at home that maybe don't know what jats are crackers. So scrambled eggs and crackers was my daily diet, not together. And I couldn't drink water, and I couldn't drink any liquids. All I could do was sip on orange juice, and which is really weird because I never drink orange juice. So that was weird. And I had a few blood tests at that time, and the nurses kept saying that, oh, you're dehydrated. And I was like, I wonder why, because I keep vomiting. Back to boobs again. Was my nipples were so sensitive. Like, not in a good way. Like if a light breeze brushed past, my nipples would like seize up and they felt like they were gonna fall off my body. Like that intense. And this was before I realized I was pregnant. That probably should have done it. But it was like I would go to the supermarket, be a little bit chilly, and I would be in like excruciating pain standing there and nothing would help at all. Another symptom which is really common is that I felt really tired, and I just thought that was lack of sleep. I was really busy and I just thought that I was tired. So eventually at the end of my first trimester, it became a cycle of vomiting and sleeping, and if I wasn't sleeping I was vomiting. And also I was so bloated in the first trimester. I kept putting on weight and I was like eating not well, but I wasn't eating horribly. And it wasn't bad enough eating to explain the rapid weight gain that I had. Like my face blew up, my jeans didn't fit, I just felt so uncomfortable. There's a mosquito. There's two more symptoms that I remember very vividly. The first was night sweats, and I experienced this earlier in my pregnancy. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but waking up at like midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning and just being covered from like head to toe in sweat, and like just scrambling to get all of your clothes off and your blankets off because you're just covered in sweat, like extreme night sweats. That stopped probably by like 6 weeks. So that came and went and I just never thought anything of it, but that was super intense, and that is a really common sign of pregnancy as well. And the last symptom is so crazy, and I don't think all pregnant women experience this, but I think a lot do, and it sounds like we're exaggerating when we speak about it, but believe me, we are not. Because comment below if this was you and like how else you can explain this apart from being a sniffer dog. I could smell everything, like someone speaking to me from 5 meters away, I could smell their breath, and like I could smell McDonald's and be 2 kilometers away. Like it was intense. Like my dog, when I go to the pantry and open a jar of peanut butter, he comes running in from the backyard because he can smell it. That was me, except I didn't live in the backyard. Dexter doesn't live in the backyard either. He lives on my bed. He's currently snoring. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but he is snoring. Just intense smells, and mixing that with nausea and feeling sick all the time. Everything that I smelled made me want to vomit, and I could smell so intensely. It was insane. So for if you guys need advice for that, for a few weeks I was carrying around little bottles of essential oils of peppermint and lemon. So if I did happen to smell a smell that made me sick, which was like all the time, I just kept those little bottles with me, and I either just sniffed out of the bottle or I applied to my skin to sniff that instead. So I didn't have to put up with the real world smells. That probably disappeared at about 16 weeks. I don't have my superhuman smell anymore, unfortunately. Comment below if there's like a better way that you can explain that, because it was like legit crazy. That is my first trimester pregnancy symptoms. If you have more than that, or you can relate, just comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you do, please let me know, and I will talk to you guys really soon.